We're back with another episode of the Sacred Heart Coaches Show as we continue to highlight our spring season sports, and golf is back with us in studio after their fall season. Matt McGreevy is back in studio with me once again. Coach, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
So the men have started their spring season. The women have yet to start it. They start up in about a week or so. But before we even get to that, how did the fall season go? How has the preseason gone as you prepare for your second season of the school year?
Sure. The fall season was, a success overall. I think we were able to kind of get a few different lineups in and see how kids perform. We were fortunate to have some freshmen come in and compete and kind of get their feet wet a little bit and get used to college golf. So I think that'll help us come the spring when everything kind of gets ramped up a little bit. Gearing up toward the end of it for our conference championship.
When I talked to you when you joined us back in the fall season, one of the big things you would emphasize when we talked about going from the fall season to the spring season was making sure that the newcomers specifically, but all your players, were on the same page in terms of your expectations and what you were hoping to see from them improve from the fall to the spring season. How have you seen that in your players as you guys have continued your season?
I think they all took it very seriously. They, a lot of them went home, and even the ones that were up in the northeast north for the winter were able to get down to Florida or somewhere south for a week or two over the Christmas break. So they got a lot of good practice in. We're practicing indoors and outdoors when it's warm enough. So I've seen a good commitment from everybody, and they're really working on their individual games and not kind of just hanging out with other kids and trying to do things that isn't necessarily going to move their needle. And
like I said, men started their season this past week going up against Big East teams, obviously a big step in competition. And you guys go 1-2. You take down Butler on the second day of the competition. What did you see from your golfers that day? How did they take that step up and rise to the occasion to take down some really powerful programs?
Well, I think it was a great opportunity for us to get out on a golf course in mid-February. It's certainly something we're going to look to do more of in the years coming, just to kind of break up the monotony of the Northeast cold. But we were very fortunate to get in there. The UConn coach called me up, said they had an opening, and I was able to make it happen. And the guys played great for not at that time we hadn't seen grass at all. So they enjoyed it, and I think they took advantage of it and did the best they could, and we were super happy for them.
What's up next for both of your teams is you guys are hosting a tournament down in Florida in about a week and a half or so. What was that process like? Because it is fairly new for Sacred Heart to be hosting a tournament. How did that come to be? What was sort of the behind the scenes that when it came to Sacred Heart deciding to host a tournament?
Sure. So we the course that we're hosting in March is where our conference championship will be in late April. So I'm a firm believer in familiarity, and it's one thing to just go play a golf course. It's another thing to go and compete at it. And we had always gone down there in the past. A previous school had hosted that. Once COVID hit and kind of shut everything down for 2 years, the opportunity arose. So I was able to connect with the course, and with help from the NEC, kind of get in contact. We were able to have a men's and a women's team tournament. So it's I think it's going to help us a lot. I think it's going to be able to give us that a real advantage going into the spring, going into the end of the spring for our championship.
That's when the next time the men's and women's golf team are in action, they get to go down to a state that is much warmer than Connecticut right now as they continue their spring season. Coach McGreevy, thanks so much for joining me. Enjoy the warm weather.
We will try.
We go from golf to track and field. For the second part of this week's edition of the Sacred Heart Coaches Show, I am joined by one of the assistants on the track and field team, Katrina DeKrey, who steps in for her head coach. And Katrina, before we even talk about your team, want to know a little bit about you. What is your role on the staff at Sacred Heart, and what are sort of your responsibilities within the team?
Yeah, so I coach sprints, hurdles, and horizontal jumps, so long jump and triple jump. So I work with both men's and women's on both those sides of the field with those events. And yeah, my role is, of course, coaching primarily, but also assisting Coach Morrison in all aspects of the team. and just trying to, do what we can to make this team better.
Yeah, and you guys just wrapped up your conference tournament, conference play this past weekend. Women finishing 5th, men finishing 8th. From a coach's lens, what did you see from your team, during that weekend? What stood out to you? What are some points of emphasis you want to hope to improve on moving forward?
Well, it was a really competitive conference championship. We came into this predicted to get 6th from the coaches poll, which was weird for us because we don't usually finish that low on the women's side. And we were hoping for a top 3, top 4, and we were sitting up there 1 and 2 for a long time, and kind of at the end the points kind of got spread around and we ended up in a 5th, which was disappointing. Overall, the team is young. There's a lot of excitement for the future. I mean, we did well in a lot of events that we were predicted to do well in, the throws. We did very well with, our shot put and our weight throw. Our women in the weight were 1st and 2nd and 8th. And then, the jumps came through. Kaylee Senderovitz won the triple jump, which she was predicted to win all along.
You mentioned it, some school records broken, some medaling as well. Even though from a team's perspective, you guys didn't finish as high as you would have liked to, I mean, you still had those individual accomplishments as well. How do you try to take away those positives as well, whether it is from that individual sense or a part of track and field? How do you sort of make sure to still come away with those positives?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to be excited when you have some really great things that happen, even if, like you said, we didn't do as well as we wanted to overall. When Kaylee jumped over 12 meters. She's been chasing that for a long time, and to win, which she was predicted to win, but to win by a landslide and to break the school record, that was just really something special, and she's worked hard and earned that, and the whole team has seen her all season working hard for that. So everybody gets excited when something like that happens.
Like you said, now you guys turn your attention toward the spring season, the outdoor season as well. What are the points of emphasis taking what you guys did in the winter season and applying that to what you guys will hope to accomplish in the spring season?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've always been strong in the throws. As you can see, we did well in the throws, indoor and outdoor. We have 4 throws events, indoors only 2. So, we'll have some javelin throwers that we didn't get to see compete indoor. So javelin will make a big difference for us. And, we'll just keep working hard on those kind of longer events. We're going to translate from the 60 into the 100 when we get to outdoor. We'll have some other events that we don't have indoor that we'll have outdoor, like the steeplechase. We've always historically scored a lot of points in the steeple. And like I said, our women's distance, our men's distance too, but specifically our women's distance, we're hoping to get back out there to be as strong as they historically have been for the spring season.
Track and field finishes up their indoor season as they now move to the outdoor season and hope to continue to add on to the legacy of Sacred Heart Track and Field. Coach DeKrey, thanks so much for joining me. Best of luck in the spring season.
Thank you, Dan.